Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Dr. Frank, founder of AddictionMindset recovery coaching programs. And in today's brief video, we're going to talk about nicotine cravings. I'm going to answer the age-old question, do they ever go away? And then I'm going to tell you what to expect and how you can manage nicotine cravings. Here at Addiction Mindset Recovery Coaching, we help people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. So be sure to subscribe today if you find today's video valuable. Let's start by painting just a basic timeline of what you can expect when you quit nicotine. And this applies to if you're vaping, if you're smoking cigarettes, doesn't matter what you're doing, chewing tobacco. So, in the first 2 hours of quitting, believe it or not, within 2 hours, about 50% of the nicotine that's circulating in your system is going to be eliminated. After about 6 hours, you are almost 97% nicotine free. Now, when we approach the 24 to 48 hour mark, we'll even say 72 hour mark, 48 to 72 hour mark, nicotine is pretty much gone from your system. And then any trace amounts or byproducts that are left over is going to be eliminated over the next 2 to 3 weeks. But within 3 days, most of the nicotine is gone from your system. Now, the thing that most people struggle with when they're quitting nicotine, and what I struggled with most, was the cravings. When you quit, one of the first things you're going to experience immediately when you quit is the craving. It's going to just be that dull thought process that's in the back of your head all day long. Now, that's where it gets a little complicated. At about 4 to 24 hours in, you're probably going to start to experience some withdrawal symptoms, irritability, frustration, brain fog, decreased concentration, anxiety, mood swings, headaches, and insomnia. These are common symptoms of nicotine withdrawal. Now, I'm going to explain in this video, most of those symptoms are psychological. Now, at 3 days, so it's 72 hours, you're going to hit your peak withdrawal symptoms. That's where the cravings are going to be the most intense, and that's where some of these physical and psychological withdrawal symptoms are going to be the most intense. From there, you're looking at about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Things are really going to start to dissipate, and once you hit that 3-month mark, most of the nicotine receptors in your brain are going to be returning back down to normal levels, and those cravings are going to be significantly diminished. So when we talk about a timeline for nicotine cravings, they set in immediately after about a few hours of your last cigarette, last hit of your vape, last chew of tobacco. They then kick up in about 6 hours. They peak at about 48 to 72 hours. And then they kind of flatline for 2 to 3 weeks. And then at 3 months is when you really start to see a death of those nicotine receptors in the brain. And you start feeling a lot better. Now, a lot of people are going to say, 3 months, that's insane. 3 months, I can't deal with 3 months. Think about 3 months versus struggling for the rest of your life with this addiction. And I promise you, I'm going to make those 3 months a lot easier for you. And guys, I do want to say a lot of this information is from The Easy Way, Alan Carr, to quit smoking. So please go check out his books. I linked them in the description below. How can you manage cravings? Well, a craving is nothing more than an obsessive thought. And I always say this, you can get addicted to whatever you want. So let's get you to obsess over accomplishing something. Let's get you to obsess over something that's healthy. But we have to start with baby steps. So the first and foremost thing to manage cravings, plan ahead. Plan for what's to come. Tell yourself, okay, day 3 is going to be the most challenging. Day 3 or 4 might be the most challenging. Plan ahead. What are you going to do on day 3, on day 4? Are you going to sleep all day? Are you going to go outside and go for walks? Are you going to go biking? Are you going to have a friend or a family member that you can spend the day with? Just something to consider. Plan ahead. Know what to expect. 2, identify when have you had cravings in the past. Now, nicotine addiction is a drug addiction. Nicotine doesn't actually make a big meal better. It doesn't make driving in the car less boring. It doesn't make doing schoolwork or your job less boring or more entertaining. It's a drug addiction. It is nothing more than your nicotine receptors saying they want nicotine. And nicotine has been releasing dopamine in your brain every time you use it. So now you are trained into that pattern. You are trained into that behavior. They have you trained like they train a lab rat to hit a lever over and over and over again. I was a lab rat too once. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. So I get it. So one of the things you can do is you can start to interrupt that thought pattern when you have cravings. So when you have a craving, go for a walk, call a friend, meditate, do some deep breathing, go exercise, read a book, watch a YouTube video. Go do something else. Even just talking to someone, picking up the phone and talk. It doesn't have to be about nicotine. Ask a family member how their day is going. Reconnect with someone. I don't care. But just distract yourself. You know why? Most cravings only last about 3 to 5 minutes. That's not a very long amount of time. The number one problem that people run into with nicotine cravings is they don't put time between the thought and the reaction. So they get a craving and then they feed that craving instantly. If you took 3 minutes and just tried to put some time between craving and reaction, I bet you would have a lot more success. And one thing you can do, I recommend getting a bunch of index cards, write down different activities on those, and then when you get a craving, reach into a bag of index cards, pull out an index card, and go do that activity. Let me know in the comments if there's some activities that you guys can think of that would help other people. Drop those in the comments. Now, another technique that I use is called not surfing the wave. That's what we'll call this. So let's say you're getting a nicotine craving. And let's imagine that craving as a big wave with a bunch of white caps on it. Here's the stress, here's the anxiety, here's the big meal, here's the after sex, whatever it is. And you're thinking, man, I want to take a hit. Now, you can hop in the water and you can argue with that craving. You can go for a swim and you can try and surf this monster wave that's coming. Or you can take a moment, you can pause, you can go pull up a chair on the beach, kick your feet up while enjoying a soda water, watching that wave come crashing at shore, and then washing back out to sea with all of those thoughts that you're having. This is a great way to put space between thought and reaction just with that little activity, just with that little exercise. And while you're at it, identify and call out that addictive part of the brain, the animal brain. Take a moment and say, wait a second, I'm not actually craving nicotine. Nicotine isn't something that I actually want. What I actually want is to be sober from this drug addiction. And then you know what you do, how you reinforce those thoughts? Have a list of affirmations. Write out a bunch of reasons why you quit. Write out a bunch of reasons why nicotine no longer fits the lifestyle that you're trying to create for yourself. And then when you're sitting there on the beach, kicking up in your lounge chair, just read through those affirmations. But the more you try and battle a craving, the more you try and surf that wave, the longer you spend on that, the more attention you give to it, the more power that craving is going to have over you. The less attention you give to it, the less attention you give to those nicotine receptors, the more rapidly they're going to begin to die off in your brain. Quite literally picture thousands upon thousands of little nicotine receptors shriveling up and going poof. That's what's happening. And the louder those cravings get, the more nicotine receptors in your brain are dying off. This is quite literally you defeating this addiction. Now, a lot of people succumb to cravings because cravings are triggered by withdrawal symptoms. I'm having physical withdrawal, so now I have a craving, and if I feed this craving, it's going to ease the withdrawal. Again, 2 to 3 days of minor withdrawal symptoms compare nothing to having this addiction the rest of your life. What's worse? 2, understand that you're not sacrificing anything. The only reason you crave nicotine is because you are addicted to nicotine. Now, that sounds stupid, but it's not. The more you use nicotine, the more you keep those nicotine receptors alive in your brain, the more you are going to crave nicotine. That's the problem with Nicorette gum and nicotine replacement therapy products. They keep the nicotine receptors in your brain alive. And the longer those are alive, the more you're going to have cravings, because you crave that temporary moment of serenity when you have that cigarette, when you hit your vape, when you have that chew. But the only reason you crave that is because you're addicted to it. If you broke that addiction and you stuck to it and you got through 3 days and you got through 2 weeks and you got through 3 months and you got to a year, those cravings go away. They dissipate. And I'll tell you what I do. If I experience a craving, if I get a thought, hey, maybe I would like a dip. Maybe I would like this. You know what I do? I take that energy and I put it towards something in my life that I'm actually craving. I put it towards my affirmations. I put it towards making a YouTube video. I put it towards developing a relationship on a deeper level. I put it towards faith. I put it towards finances. I put it towards something that's going to benefit me, something that I actually crave and desire out of life. That's how you manage a long-term craving. You redirect that obsession. You redirect that energy into something beneficial, not towards something that's destroying you. We don't crave. No one actually wants to be addicted, okay? No one craves to have a crippling drug addiction. No one actually craves that. It's our brain tricking us into thinking we do. It's our dopamine being hijacked. So I hope that helps you guys out. I hope that paints some expectations for those of you going forward when it comes to nicotine withdrawal symptoms. I'm going to I got another video that I want you to follow me into where I talk more about the physical aspects of nicotine withdrawal.